welcome everyone to the Expansive Playbook Webinar. I'm Dr. Nkem Ezamama, and it's so nice to see everyone today. Thank you so much for coming. It is going to be a great evening. So before I start, I just wanted to tell you, welcome to the launch of the Expansive Playbook Webinar. The goal is to do this every other week, and the mission is to give you the exact steps to break free and how to take control of your time, your money, your future. So we'll go into different topics on exactly those things. And if there's something that you are, as we go through this and you keep coming, if there's something that you want to hear, if there's a topic you want us to touch on, please let me know, because it's always good to talk about exactly what people need. But today you are here because you want to start a business while working full time, but you're not willing to sacrifice your peace. You don't want to sacrifice your energy or financial stability to do it. So the question is, how do I do it? Today, we're going to lay out the exact steps that you need to launch, to grow, and to start thinking about balancing it. And the whole idea is to try to do it without stress and overwhelm. Entrepreneurship is difficult, and there's a lot of high highs and very low lows, and you'll hear me say that over and over today. But imagine if you could do it with a little bit of ease. And I get it, right? The internet is filled with people telling you, just quit your job, take the leap. And you see some people who are actually doing it. But I don't think that that's a smart strategy, right? I think that today that I want to show you how to do it and how to do it the right way, without stress, without overwhelm, and without burnout. By the time we're done with this, right, you will have a clear, a very simple and step-by-step strategy to get started, even if you're busy, even if you're exhausted, and even if you don't know where to begin. Like I said, if you have questions, please drop it in the comments, drop it in the chat. I definitely want to help you to the best of my ability. So if you have ever thought about starting a business, right, you felt like you don't have the time, or you don't have the energy, or you don't know how, you don't have the right plan. But I think coming here today, you made the right decision, because starting a business while working 9 to 5, it can feel impossible because your job is draining, your schedule is packed. And then the thought of adding something else feels overwhelming, to say the least. But the truth is, I don't necessarily think that you need more hours. I think that you need a better strategy, which is something that we're going to talk about here. The first maybe like 10 minutes, I'm going to talk about the mindset, because you have to have the right mindset in order to even think that, hey, I want to start a business. And so that's exactly what I want to give you today, right? Before we're done, by the time we're done, right, I want you to have the exact roadmap to find a business idea that actually works with your schedule, thinking about like your skills, your expertise, what lights you up. And then we're going to talk about how to start getting the first paying clients pretty quickly without wasting months of planning. Planning is good, but over planning will always keep you stuck. And then I want to talk about how we can balance work and business without really sacrificing your sanity, because you still have a life, you still have hobbies, you still have passions, you still have a family, and you still have a job. So how do we make it work in the same 24 hours that we all have? And most importantly, I want you to know when and how to quit your 9 to 5 the right way, if that is something that you want to do. So if you're ready, and if you feel like this is exciting you, I'm really excited, as you can tell. I hope you can tell that I'm really excited. But I don't want this to just be motivation, right? I want us to have real, actionable strategies to get you taking that next step. So let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is that, like most people, they either never start or they try and they completely burn out. And the reason why is because I think that they approach this the wrong way. Now, this is kind of my thoughts, the things I've done, how I started. And so I will say this, that there's no one perfect way to do this. So what I'm telling you is more from personal experience. But these are the 3 biggest mistakes that I think people make. And I'm hoping that by the end of today, you won't make them. The first thing is that they treat their business like a hobby instead of thinking about it as like a serious income generating asset. Because if you don't take this business idea, the side gig, whatever you want to call it, if you don't take it seriously, no one else will take it seriously. And then the second thing that I noticed that people kind of struggle with, or the mistakes that they make, is that they spend months or even years planning, researching, and overthinking instead of just getting out there and putting your, your idea, your whatever your creative genius is, putting it out there and start making money. And I want to say that, because this one, there's a fine line, right? You do need to spend time planning. You do need to spend time researching. But if you get into that zone of analysis paralysis, you will never take the next step, because you're like, okay, I need to do this. I still need to do this. But sometimes, like, the marketplace is waiting for what you have to offer. Just go for it. And then a third mistake I see people make is that they try to do everything at once. So like in the beginning, they're like, I need to build a website. I have to launch on 6 different platforms because I need everyone to see me at the same time. And they want to be everywhere. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're starting out, you have to think about a very simple and focused approach. So you pick one area that works really well for you, and then you delve into that. So today, I want to show you the exact method that works. And I'm going to use the word simple a lot of times, because I think that if we break it down to that, I think that is very helpful. So I'm thinking what you want to get out of this is like a simple, realistic, and strategic method that's designed for busy professionals, because we're all busy, and so that you don't have to waste your time. That is exactly what I want to tell you about today. One of my mentors told me this, that wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes. And that I could tell you that a lot of the things that I'm going to share with you today are mistakes that I've made. And I want to make sure that you don't make it again. And I want to pass on that knowledge and the skills and whatever I can to you, so that this process can be seamless, because entrepreneurship is not easy. And it's not for everyone, but you're here today. You want to learn about it. You're thinking about it. You want to jump in. You want to start a business. So why not make it easier by learning from the mistakes of others, so you don't have to do it yourself? Okay, so I said this, but like, why should you listen to me, right? And the truth is, I've been where you are. I'm an ER physician, and I always thought that for the longest time, or forever, I was just going to be a doctor. And life changed, and I had this big passion that was put on my heart, this big idea, and this big vision that was put on my heart, and I knew that I wanted to take it. I wanted to share it with the world. I wanted to help people, like figure out how to live an expansive life, a really big life, how to build wealth, how to create passive income. Those are the things that like were part of my big vision. And so I know what it feels like to be in a job that takes up all your energy, but then also to have those big dreams and not have a clear path on how to make them real. So why you should listen to me, right? It's because I've started and I built businesses while working full time. And I have learned what works and what doesn't. And so what I'm sharing with you today is not just theory. It's a proven system that has helped me. And if you ask a lot of other successful entrepreneurs, they're using the same systems, the same processes to help them break free from the grind, from that 9-to-5 grind, without losing their stability, their sanity, and to like build something that is really impactful. But before we dive in, I want to just set some expectations. I don't want this to be another motivational session, right? I want this to actually be step-by-step, stuff that you can use immediately. So take notes, pull out a pen, pull out a paper, or even grab your phone and go on the notes section and just take notes. If there's something that I say that triggers something, write it down. If there's a step that you're like, oh, this is exactly where I am, this is what I need to move me, write it down. If you apply what we covered today, you will see results, right? And this is supposed to be interactive. So to the people who have already been using the chat, but if something clicks, drop a yes. If you have a question, put it in the comments. I will get to them. I'll get to almost all of them or all of them. If we run out of time, I'll reach out to you later and answer some of your questions. But the goal at the end is to give you a clear kind of action plan, so that you're not just leaving with ideas. You really have something that feels like real strategy. So I want us to get into it. But first, I want us to talk about why most people fail when they start a business or working full time. And we hit a few of them, but I really now want to tell you why you need to avoid, what the things you need to do and how to avoid those mistakes. And like I said before, it's that they never start, or they start and they burn out because they're trying and not doing it right. And so I told you that the first mistake that people make is that they treat their business like a hobby instead of a real business. And it's because, they don't take it seriously. And I told you, if you don't take it seriously, nobody else will. Sometimes people think about it as just like an extra side income, something small that's coming in that might never amount to much, instead of thinking about it as a real wealth building strategy. Another thing that, when you treat it like a hobby, then you don't set deadlines, you don't prioritize, and then you never make real progress. So that's the thing. That's one of the things that you have to think about. And I'll say this again, right? In your job, you have meetings, you have deadlines. So why don't you have that here? When you take it seriously, you will start implementing the things that you need to get you successful. And then another mistake is that, like I told you before, they spend too much time planning instead of going out there and giving your product to the marketplace or your service to the marketplace, something that works. And you will see people who spend, I kid you not, months, even years planning. Designing just a logo could take 5 months. But you know what? You're new, you're small. If you have a dot or a change in your logo, it's okay. If you put out something that you're like later on, you have this epiphany that you want to change it, you can. And so you don't have to spend half a year or 9 months fixing a website or creating the perfect website. Put something out there. And as you grow, as you get better, you get ideas. And even as you grow, you might get the right people who then will build your website for you, so you don't have to think about it. But stop focusing on those things that will not make you money before you start getting your first client, before you start getting your first thing. That's really important. And I'll say this, right? This is a hard truth. Your business is not a business until someone pays you. Until then, it's just a really fun passion project. It's just a really fun hobby that you're doing, but until someone sees value in what you're doing and there's an exchange for money, then that your business now becomes a real business. And mistake 3 that people make is that they try to do too much instead of keeping it simple. You have to keep it very simple. Like I said, you don't need this fancy website, and I'm all about pretty, you guys, but you don't need this beautiful website, this perfect social media package, or this ideal branding and all this $1 million strategy all at once. Like, as you grow, which you're going to grow, you're going to need some of that, and you build to the level that you're at, and then you think about how you can scale even more if you have a big dream or a big vision. But when you start at the beginning and you don't start small, you will get overwhelmed. You will not gain traction, and you will burn out, because you will ask yourself, like, wait, why am I doing this? What is the reason? But when you start small and you start seeing progress, you get momentum. You just get a small push that takes you to the next level. So, like I said before, here's the good news, right? Now you understand some of these mistakes. You don't have to make them. I want to show you a smarter way to start thinking about it. So this is what you should be doing instead, right? And if you, in the beginning, like I said, right, what I want to do is give you the right mindset as you start thinking about creating your business. So I know that people on this call are at different wavelengths or different, stages. There's some who are just like, okay, I came here because maybe I think there's something I want to do. And so you have the tiny idea, or you have the desire. And there's some people who have it, who have a business, who already know what they want to do, and who are like, yes, I'm now ready to start. And then there are people who are like almost at the other end of the spectrum, where they are thinking, okay, it's time for me to quit my job. So we are on different spectrums, different wavelengths. But if you do these things, right, even as you start, even as you continue, it will set you apart from 99% of the people who fail before they start. So even as you're starting, I want you to treat your business like a real business. Have a real plan, have a schedule. I told you that if your job has real meetings, then your business needs to have work sessions. Even if you're putting in just a small amount of time, like that time in the beginning needs to be worth it. I need you to set deadlines for yourself. So, because if you don't set deadlines, if you don't push yourself to start, if you don't ask yourself the hard questions, you will always be stuck in that someday mentality. Like, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, I'll start in 2 months. But if you set a deadline, if you give yourself the things that you need to move you to the next level, then you will move to the next level. That you have a higher chance of actually succeeding. The next shift that I want you to make is, I need you to focus on getting your first client and not perfecting your brand. So yes, I don't want you to misunderstand what I'm saying. Like, the logo is important, the website is important, the business card is important, but it is not the most important thing, because those things are not what's making you money. You have to start thinking, how do I create such magnificent value, and who will pay me for that? That's what you now need to start thinking as you're thinking about that business idea that you want to start. And then the third thing that you need to do is you need to start simple, right? Leverage your time. Don't overcomplicate things. So I want you to use really smart time strategies so that you don't feel overwhelmed, because at the end of the day, you're still working 9 to 5 or whatever 9 to 5 looks like to you. If you start thinking about making these 3 tiny shifts, you'll see results. And I am very positive about that. Okay, so let's recap. If you're going to succeed, the first thing that you need to do is work on your mindset. And that's what I wanted to spend the first, I said 10, 15 minutes. Maybe I went a little overboard, but it's important that you have the right mindset, so that the next thing we start doing is to start thinking about your business idea, right? But have the right mindset. And the right mindset is, one, I really need to take this business idea, this business seriously, even at the beginning. And the next one is like, you need to focus less on the planning. You've done the planning, you've spent months, but now take it to the next level. You know, I said before, like, analysis paralysis is a killer of a lot of great businesses and ideas, because it ends there, it dies there. So why don't you take it a step further? And then that mindset shift is to keep it simple in the beginning and to avoid overwhelm, right? I know you have a big vision. I know you have a big plan, but it's okay to start small and grow and build, because when you lay the right foundation, that will make all the difference. Now, it's easy to spend a whole year or 2 years in this phase, right? And not make any moves, but that defeats the whole process. So that's why I really wanted you to spend time, really working through your mindset, and then take it to the next level. So we have covered the mindset, we've covered the strategy shifts. Now, the next step that we're going to talk about is to actually find the right business idea, one that fits your skills, your schedule, and your lifestyle, because that's important. If I'm honest with you, right, if you don't pick the right business, everything else will be harder. So why don't we make sure that you start with the right one? And the reason why some people struggle to choose the right business idea is because, again, they overthink it. And I want to spend some time talking about this and really bust some myths that people think. Because sometimes people believe that in order to have a great business, you have to have this totally unique, groundbreaking, phenomenal idea. It's not true. And I want to tell you that that's false. You need to find something that already works, and then think about how you can position yourself to do it better. So how do you take something that is simple, that it's easy, that someone else is doing, and how do you do it better? That's one big way that you can create a really amazing business idea that is not necessarily original, and it doesn't have to be. And then another thing that people think is that in order to have this perfect business idea, it's something that you have to feel absolutely passionate about. Again, that's false. A lot of successful businesses, they start with a need and not really a passion. The passion will come. Trust me, when you are impacting lives, when you are moving the needle forward, the passion will be there. But in the beginning, you have to have a need, a pain, someone else's pain, that you feel that you're well positioned to solve that problem. That is how great business ideas, that's where they come from. And then the last one, which I will tell you that I struggled with, is that you have to have this perfect plan before you start. And I was that person, right? I needed to have the perfect everything before I started. But my mentor told me that if I had a strong enough why, then I needed to push myself and I needed to start. And I completely believe that, because perfectionism will kill momentum. And that excitement, that power, that vigor that you have, that you're I do have something amazing, I want to share it with the world at large. Don't kill that because you think everything needs to be perfect. It doesn't. And I want you to this is a reality check that I want you to think about, right? The best businesses, they're not complicated. They are very simple, they're proven, and they solve real problems. That's it. And so today, I really want to show you exactly how to choose a business that works for you without stress, without confusion, and without wasting time. As you're sitting there, which I want you to be doing, you might be thinking, well, what's that thing for me, right? How do I figure that thing out? Like, what questions do I need to be asking? Well, this is where I want to, this is the things that I really want to share with you. And so instead of sitting down and brainstorming for months, again, simplicity is what I'm shooting for. You can have a really amazing business idea in a really short time. And think about it like using this three-step formula. The first one is I want you to monetize what you already know. And before I even tell you the 3 steps, right? Be asking yourself these questions. Like as I ask you these questions, I want you to be really asking yourself, and I want you to be honest, and I want you to be vulnerable. Like that sheet of paper, that computer, that phone, the notebook that you have open, or the notes section, write down some things. But as I ask you the questions, think about it. Think about the answer as it pertains to you. And then if there's something that is unclear, toss it in the chat, ask questions, and then we can take it from there. So in the first step, I told you is to monetize what you already know, right? You're working a 9 to 5, you have a skill already, you have an expertise. So ask yourself this: what skills do you already have that people will pay for? That's a very important question. I'm going to ask it again. What skills do you already have that people will pay for? And then another question is like, what do people around you, what do they already ask you for help? So I'll give you an example, right? We are currently working on ads or creating ads. And if we found someone who was like the perfect ads person, right? Which could be you, that is a skill that I'm very willing to pay for, because it's something that I need help with. It's a pain point that I have, and it's something that you can be really good at. So it really is. We try to overcomplicate it. And the more I get into business and entrepreneurship, the more I learn that it is very simple. Another question that you should ask is, have you solved the problem for yourself that other people struggle with? Is there something that you have and not even perfected, but you become so skilled at and so good at that you're like, the world needs this? That could be your business idea. And sometimes we think that it has to be grand, and we think it really has to be amazing. Like it has to be the next Tesla, but I don't necessarily think it does. I think that if you look at your job, your work, your community, your people, you can start seeing problems that problems that you love that you can solve for them. Like things that are problems for others, but that you are just like, oh, this is so easy for me. I love to do this. Think about that. And then along those lines, right, why don't you solve a problem that you already see? So at your job, what do people complain about? Like, what is that thing that they're like, oh, why can't we do this like this? Or why can't we do this better? Or why isn't there something to help with this problem? Ding, ding, ding. That could be the next thing that you can help solve. Again, when you're in your circle, what is a problem that people always talk about? That could be the next thing that you need to figure out, that you need to do. It doesn't always have to be groundbreaking. And if you become an expert at that thing, you will solve people's problem and you can give them value. Again, so along the lines of like problems, right? What is something that frustrates you that you wish you had a solution to? That could be something that you spend time to create, and then that becomes the thing that you bring out to the world, to the marketplace. And then another step that I want you to think about is like, find something that people are already paying for. Remember, I told you it doesn't have to be like groundbreaking. It doesn't have to be unique. Find something that people are already paying for, and then figure out how you can do it better. If that's something that lights you up, if that's something that excites you, if that's something that's within your skill set, if that's something that's within your expertise, that's how you have to start thinking about it. So don't guess. Why guess? Just go where the money is flowing. What are people in your field buying? What are their needs? That's another way to think about. So like, what services, what courses, what products do people see, and that do people use that you can see is working and that you can like tap into? Remember, you're always trying to position yourself to be better, because you can do it better. That's how you have to start thinking about it. So if you can check these 3 boxes, right? I know that you have a business idea that works, but I want to give you some real life examples because I think then that it'll hit home a little bit better. And so right now, like you might be thinking, okay, but what kind of business actually works while I'm working 9 to 5? I tossed out some simple things that like could work, but I'm just throwing out ideas. And the whole purpose of this webinar is to get you to be thinking, to get the juices flowing. And you might be thinking about something that's completely different from what I tell you, and that's okay. But if I can spark something to ask the right question, to get you thinking, to create that thing, then I think I did a great job. So think about like consulting and coaching, right? If you have an industry expertise, then people will pay you to guide them. I will give you, and I'm all about telling you what I've done, right? I paid a significant amount of money to get a coach to fast track my growth. And, you know, the amount of growth that I've achieved and the time that I've done it, it's probably a lot more than others have, but it didn't come for free. I paid a large amount of money to a coach to hold my hand in the beginning so that some of these mistakes, I didn't have to make them. You could be that coach for someone else. You could be that consultant for someone else to help them break into the industry that you're in. So think about that. Like I said, it doesn't always have to be unique. It's still genuine. It's something that you're doing. It's something that you're passionate about, and you can craft something around it. So think about like freelancing or like services. So if you have a skill, writing, design, marketing, tech, like if you are creative and like that area is an area that you shine in, that you thrive in, sell it as a service. There's nothing wrong with that. And then think about digital products and courses, right? You know, teach what you know once and then build it, automate it, sell it over and over again. And I want, sometimes there's this, we have this bad notion behind making money or selling, but I want to give you freedom, because when you have something that is of value, that's something that like is like just amazing, and you're helping to solve someone else's pain, then it's an exchange, right? It's an exchange for service, and it's not, you shouldn't feel bad about it. It's something that is good. Like you are helping them, move them to the next level of their growth, or you're helping them move them to the next level of whatever stage they're in. And it's okay to sell that. It's okay to monetize it. There's nothing wrong with it. So I just want to give you some freedom as you're thinking about it. And then, so the next thing is like, think about also e-commerce. Sam said amen to that. You're right. It's very, very true. And there's this bad rap behind it. Let's let it go. And so the next one I want to talk about is e-commerce. So I want you to sell products. I will think about selling products without even touching inventory, right? You're thinking in the beginning, you're thinking easy, you're thinking simple. And if this is something that you're good at, then why don't you like build on that? And then, you know, think about real estate investing, which at Phoenix is what we do, right? Passive income without trading your time for money. So those are all different ways that you can think about building something outside of your 9 to 5. And I will tell you this, right? Another thing that you're thinking about is time, but each of these can be started in a few weeks or like in a few hours every week. So don't think about it like, oh, this is such a big undertaking. This is such a big endeavor. You could start it, and it just starts with a few hours every week and build on that. And it's perfect for a busy professional like you. So this could be where you start. I just wanted to drop some of that information so that you're thinking about it. Okay, so now I've asked you questions, right? And I want you to stop listening only for a second and then start listening, but I want you to start doing. I want you to take a minute or two just to jot down some of these questions that I've asked. So answers to some of these questions that I've asked, like, what skills do you have that people would pay you for? So just take a second, write something down. And if you're brave, put it in the chat, right? Put that thing that you're really good at, that you're like, okay, this is my time to start thinking about like how to scale it, how to take it to the next level. And then the next thing, right? What problems do you see that you could help others solve? So that's another thing. I just want you to take a minute, 30 seconds, just jot down like any ideas that come to you. And if the ideas are not coming yet, I want to challenge you to spend the next few days and weeks thinking about the same question. What skills do you have that people will pay for? what problems do you see that people have that you could solve, that you could be the white knight, that you could be the hero for that person or those people? And then also think, what businesses in your field are already making money, already doing well? Is there something that you can attach onto? Is there something that you can build? And don't think that the fear. I've talked about multiple, every time I talk about fear, but fear is so big, right? The fear we have is that maybe the market is oversaturated, or I might not be as competitive, but competition is good, because when you build, you are talking to your own people, to a set of people, and they are looking for you. They're not looking for someone else who does the same thing as you. So please don't be frightened that like I can't start because X, Y, and Z, or this is doing it. It's not true. Go do it. Go think about it. Whatever businesses in your field that are doing well, that you feel like this is my area of expertise, this is my skill, tap into it. So I want to tell you that even if you're not sure, right? Like I said, write something down, or at least be thinking about it in the next day, in the next week. The likelihood of you doing something about it is if you take action right now. So like in the next 24 hours, challenge yourself. Maybe tomorrow morning you spend time and you think about, as you're journaling, these questions that I've asked you, these questions that I've posed, because I really do think that if you spend time to answer it, your next business idea is right there. Okay, so I'm asking you a lot of questions and I'm throwing a lot of information at you, but if I had to like kind of summarize how to think about that business idea, is don't overthink it. Monetize what you know. I want you to start solving real problems. And then I want you to also realize that like, it's okay to do this thing. It's okay to give value in exchange for money. Like I said before, and I'll say it again, like people will pay for value. They'll pay for really good value. So why don't you spend the time, creating that good value than worrying about the money part? And then you don't have to have $1 million idea. I've said this, I'll say it again. Like, I just want you to like take the next step, spend the time to think about it, create an idea, launch, and then get paid for it. So kind of helping you. So in the next section, right, I want to show you how to launch fast. Think about how you can start getting that first paying customer and just start getting revenue immediately without necessarily needing fancy everything. That's what I want you to think about. And I've noticed that the next part is where a lot of people get stuck. And I want to break that down for you. So let's go. So here, right, what I've seen that people struggle with is that they'll delay launching a business because they think they have to have everything set up. They think that everything has to be perfect. So I touched on this a little bit earlier. The perfect website, the perfect, the LLC, the branding, the social media. And those things are important, but none of them really matter if you don't have people who are buying into what you're selling, or if you don't have people who are buying into what you're giving to the world. I said it before, you don't have a business until someone actually gives you money for your service, for your product, for your expertise, because that's when it becomes real. So here, I want to show you exactly how you can start without really overcomplicating it, because in the beginning, it can be very difficult because you have so many unanswered questions: how, when, why, if, what. So the more you can simplify it, the more you can like not complicate it, the easier it'll be. And so here, I want to kind of just like lay a little bit of a groundwork or framework to why people mess up. And this is where it really starts to happen, is because they focus on looking like they have a business than actually, instead of like actually making money. Like, nobody needs to see your pretty social media page if you're not getting return on investment for it. And so the fastest way to get results is following this 4-step system. And I think the beauty of this, when you start thinking about it, is that it removes all the unnecessary distractions and it gets you straight to revenue. So let's break it down. I've noticed that a lot of mistakes, some of the biggest mistakes that new entrepreneurs make, is that they want to create this huge, complex business from day one. and you'll get there. I keep saying you'll get there because I know you will, but I need you to start with a test offer, something small, something focused, and something that is really easy to deliver. You know, I told you some of my weaknesses, but I'm one of those people that everything has to look pretty, but it doesn't. Sometimes you just have to give it to the marketplace. You just have to give it to people and then see how they respond. I think the last Super Bowl, not the Super Bowl before this, right? Kanye West, he put out a product, right? And he didn't create any of that product. He just put it out to the marketplace to see if that is something that they would want. And as people started ordering, like they started creating the product. So like that was the marketplace responding to a need, you know, to something that they wanted. So and if he's doing that, like we have this idea that it has to be perfect. We have to have all the things, but I think you just need to start and you need to let people respond to that. So how do you find yours, right? How do you find that test offer, that small thing that you want to start? As soon as you've gotten the idea, identify a specific problem. You know, what I said before, what are people struggling with that you can solve? And then I want you to package it. I say it again, keep it simple, keep it simple, keep it simple. So think, you know, if it's consulting, if it's a service, if it's a product, if it's a course, if it's a coaching, if it's a full-on business, you know, start simple and then build from there. But I think the thing that I want you to take away is that sometimes you have to price it low. And so I think that like pricing it low risk is okay. And this is something that you have to hear, right? This is not your forever price. But sometimes it's a price that gets people to the door faster. And I want to give you a real example. So I know an amazing coach, and she had been building her business, and she thought this is the right time to offer my services. And she had other business lines, but she was like, this is the right time to offer her service. She started with a coaching program at $5,000 a year to hold your hand to get you to where you need to go. Now, for some, 5,000 is a lot, but she said, for 5,000, like I will guarantee you that I will get you from point A to point B. And that was her starting offer. And the people in the beginning who trusted her, who jumped in, she told them that that offer will last as long as you want every year that you decide to continue. I want to tell you guys today that that coaching program is now $30,000 for new members. She started low risk. She started small, and she built it. And so you can start with a small offer, and yours doesn't have to be 5,000. It could be it could be $99.99. It could be $49.99. It could be something small. You could, you know, if I could think of something, like if you're thinking about a course, right? You could start with like a mini workshop. So you could start with something small and then add to that and build on that. So it doesn't have to be grand. Put out a test offer, try it, and then see how it goes. So people waste months, right, trying to build an audience from scratch. You know, they just want to, they need 1,000 followers, or they need 1,000 people in the email database, or 100 or something. But the first 5 customers, or the first 5 paying customers, they are already in your existing network. Tap into that. And so here is what that could look like, right? Think about colleagues or your professional connections. You know people in the industry already who need your expertise. Start with them. Think about friends and family and your personal circles, right? You know, someone in your network needs what you're already offering, and they know others who do. So start with that. Like that is the first place that you need to start. And then think about like communities and online groups. Go where people are already looking for that solution. Go there and market what you have to say. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit later about being salesy. Don't do that. Just start a conversation, see people who have a need that you have the solution for, and then do it. The key is to start with real people, not strangers on the internet. They will come. But in order to start building your business, in order to take it from just a fun hobby to a business, right? You have to find people who are willing to put in, you know, who are willing to gamble, who are willing to pay, and for you to get paid fast. So start with people that you know. Also, people that you know are more likely to, obviously they know you and they like you and they're easier to trust you. So start with that. So I want you to kind of, in the beginning, forget about paid ads, or forget about complicated funnels, or forget about spending hours and hours creating the perfect content, right? think about starting with like direct organic outreach. So the people you know. So here, if you're at this phase or this stage, I want you to think about like leveraging things like LinkedIn, right? And your work connections. Like I said, your professional network, they already trust you, they already know you, they already like you. So they're more likely to believe in what you're doing and support you. Another thing is like when you think about direct organic outreach, right? Think about referrals. So tell people about your offer, and you'll be surprised of how many people say like, hey, I know someone who needs this, and then they'll refer you, and that's how it starts. And then, like I said before, like think about like online groups and communities. Go to where people are already there asking for that help. I want you to engage, right? Just like build relationships, have communication. Please don't spam them. So and then like think about like that direct outreach I talked about. So lead with value, offer help first. An example, right? And I get a lot of these salesy messages on LinkedIn, and I literally just delete them, delete. So instead of sending a message that says like, hey, buy my package, buy my product, you could say something like, hey, Sam, you could say, hey, Sam, I saw your post that you were struggling with whatever that pain point is. And then you could say, I actually help people that, that struggle with this. I would love to share a few quick tips. Let me know if you're interested. Keep it simple, keep it low risk, and have that. That sounds way better than, hey, buy this. So when you're starting, start with conversation, start with getting to know your clients, getting to know your customers. That's how they'll become paying clients and paying customers, is like start with building a relationship. And it's really important. So once you get that first paying client, your job is to wow them. Don't spend all your effort, and getting new leads and new sales are important, but you have to wow the people that you already have. And the reason why is because, one, it's good because you're a good person, but then they will spread the word. So I want you to over deliver, right? I remember the people who go above and beyond the service that they provide for me. But I want you to be that person, right? Over deliver, give them above and beyond what they expect, because like you're starting small, remember. So like put all your time into that. And then when you do that, like ask for a testimonial, like a simple, hey, would you mind sharing a few words with how you and I interacted, how it went, how like you're enjoying the product or the service, or if you come back, can you tell me why? And that is enough, right? That's just a simple, quick 30-second, 45, I don't know, a minute testimonial that could go a long way. And then referrals, right? Happy customers will bring you more business. So in the beginning, hone in on the people that you already have, and then wow them. And when you do this, right, that 5 will turn into 10, that 10 will turn into 20, and then the business will start growing on its own. So it's always very important. Like this is something that you really need to do. And I see this, right, kind of after you've done that, the biggest mistakes that people make is that like in the beginning, they try to run this like full-time entrepreneurs. Now I'm speaking to the people who still have a full 9 to 5. And you think that you need to work 40 hours a week to make real progress. But it's almost impossible to balance a full-time job, to show up there because you're getting paid, to show up there 100%, and then to show up with that same amount of time into your business as you're starting out. You'll burn out, like you will lose motivation and you'll give up, and one will suffer. So in the beginning, right, I want you to think about starting off a little smaller. I think that you can grow a successful side business, side gig, entrepreneur endeavor with just 10 hours a week if you use your time wisely. And I want to spend a little bit of time talking through what those hours could look like. The biggest lie in business is that like in order to succeed, you have to grind every single day all the time. And I think that that's wrong, right? Instead of trying to do all these things at once, I want you to focus on like that 10-hour rule. And here's how that works. If you think about 10 hours a week, what could you spend those 10 hours doing? Break it down. So think about 3 hours that you can focus on marketing and sales, because without sales, right, you don't have a business. So focus on getting clients. Spend about 3 hours a week, especially in the beginning, doing that. And then if you have a service, right, spend another 3 hours on delivery. So that looks like actually doing the work, whatever that service you are that you're delivering, you spend another 3 hours doing that. And then you need to spend another 3 hours on like systems and growth. So think about starting to set up automations. Think about how you can improve your processes. With the advent of AI and like technology, 3 hours can easily be like, or 10 hours can be shrunk down into those 3 hours. So think about how you can spend the time to start building up, setting up automations, building processes, and then start to think about delegating small tasks. Like, also think about who your who is that can help you with some of those things. And then the last hour in the 10 hours is like review and readjust. So look at what's working and then plan your next steps from there. I want you to think about this structure, this 10-hour structure, and you're not going to stay at 10 hours, right? As you build, it might be more, but that 10-hour structure will keep you productive. It'll keep you growing and you're not wasting your time. So that's how that could look like. And I hear people say this all the time, and I used to say it like, I just don't have enough time. But if you are very honest with yourself, right, time doesn't just appear. You have to create it. So how do you create extra time? Think about using stolen time. Alexander said, look at what's working and then review your next step from there. That's very true. So, and I want you to, like, how do you create time, right? Use stolen time. So if you work 8 to 10 hours a day, you can't sit down for 3 hours straight, right? So how can you use small chunks of time? Think about using your lunch break. Like as you're eating, you could be responding to emails, or as you're eating, you can be building out your next like small marketing plan. Use your commute to work. Wake up an hour earlier. The ways that you can steal back time, and that 10 hours is easily created. You can also batch work, right? So instead of doing a little bit every day, figure out what works for you, but you can block time. And I am a fan of time blocking. 3 hours a day of like high intense productive work. That could look like maybe Saturday morning, you could focus doing that, or like Tuesday night, you can push it, you can use it for making calls. And then like I said, that Saturday morning, you can like batch content and create content and pour it out to the world. That's what that looks like. And this part is important. If you're looking for time, you have to cut out the distractions. If you were honest with yourself and you took away if you tracked your screen time, you will notice that you spend easily 3+ hours a day on social media, on Netflix, on all these other things, but you can use that time to build your business. So again, if this is the only thing that you take away from this, where you're like, how can I cut the distractions? Like, I want to be laser focused on what I'm doing and even starting to build. Like, if you put your phone on do not disturb, during your work hours, or this is something that I do, but like if you change your screen color to grayscale, picking up your phone becomes boring. Like everything is gray. You can't see color. You can't see pictures. Like it makes your phone almost kind of useless. But if you do that, like that will decrease your time. You'll pick up your phone, you'll look at it and you'll be like, I don't want that. And you'll put it back down and you can save hours that way. And then I also want you to set boundaries, right? If people are constantly asking for your time, sometimes it's okay to say no. It's okay to spend these, foundation months or hours building. And sometimes no is an appropriate answer to say. And this is something, please hear this, right? Time management is not about finding time. It's about prioritizing what actually matters. And that's how you start buying back time. That's how you start stealing back time into your schedule. It's like you're not just finding the time, but like you're really prioritizing what really matters. Okay, so most people will focus only on time management, right? And that's important. But I also want you to manage your energy. Because it's as you're starting, it can be very difficult, but you have to protect your energy so that you don't quit. And this could look like working during your peak hours. So if you're a morning person or if you're a night owl, then work at the times that you have the most focus and the most energy. One of my colleagues she works at night, and I cannot understand for the life of me, but you will see her like churning out work between the hours of like 9 and midnight. And to me, I'm fast asleep already because I'm a morning person. And like those first hours of the morning are where I can like really like focus and get work done. So another thing in managing your energy is protecting your mental space. There will be a lot of people who will tell you, you probably shouldn't do this. It's probably too risky. You already have a good paying job. Why would you even think about doing this? If you are around negative people that are draining you, like, your motivation will die. So surround yourself with the right people, with the right support, because it's really important. And then I have this thing called the 2-day rule. In the beginning, and even like I will tell you this till today, right? Don't go 2 days without working on your business of some sort. What that does is, like, if you do that, momentum will die. But if if less than 2 days goes by that you're working on the business, like, the momentum is alive. You keep going, you keep building, like, you get energy from it, and it'll help you keep going. But if you wait a week, like, you forget where you started, you forget the last thing you did. So that is really important. And then I know balance is something that we probably should talk about, but in the interim, right, just take care of yourself. If you need to sleep, please sleep. If you need to exercise, please exercise. And, like, mental health is not an option. Like, the strongest you is a person who can create something that is worth giving value to others. You can't build a business if you're exhausted. It's just not going to happen. So the key to, like, a really sustainable business is, like, it's not just about working harder. You have to start working smarter, and you have to start protecting your energy. So again, this section, we kind of talked about, balancing business with a full-time. And we talked that it's not about, like, spending 40 hours. It's about 10 hours. What can you get done in 10 hours? Work smarter. We talked about creating time and not just waiting for them to appear. So, stop saying, I don't have time, and start making the time. Look at where you can cut distraction. It might be time to say no, start time blocking, waking up early. And then I need you to manage your energy. If you're burnt out, the business will suffer. So focus on that. So now that you know about balance, the next step, and I want you to just kind of listen to this. This might not be for everyone here, but you have to start thinking at the right time. And this could be like 6 months, a year, 2 years from now. But when and how can I start thinking about quitting my 9 to 5? And how do I do it the right way? Because if you do it the wrong way, you could end up back in the same cycle, right? So, like I said, you might not be ready to do it, but I want us to just, like, start thinking about it. So I want you to have, like, I want you to leave your job strategically without financial stress. Like, how do you know that you're ready? So another mistake that a lot of people make is that they quit too soon, and they either quit because they're frustrated, or they stay in the job too long out of fear, right? So it's like both ends of the spectrum. When you think about quitting too soon, right? If you do that, and that's a mistake that you make, you don't have enough money saved. Your business isn't where it needs to be for you to take the leap. And I'm all about taking the leap, but it has to make sense. And you end up panicking. And what ends up happening is that you probably end up taking another 9 to 5 job. So why don't you be ready? And then another mistake, which is on the other end of the spectrum, is that you stay too long, right? You waste years being comfortable before truly being free. I want to talk to someone who's listening today, right? You need to be somewhat uncomfortable. So you have to be ready, and you have to be able to take a calculated risk, but you don't need to be 100% ready to take that leap. You have to be a little uncomfortable, because that feeling of discomfort is what's going to take you to your next level of growth. So be thinking about it. Like, there is also a problem with staying too long in your 9 to 5, because then you don't have enough time, energy to create something that that is impactful and that will touch the world. So the right way to do it is to have a clear exit plan. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to be thinking about certain things. Remember that you're not just leaving your job, right? You're building a foundation for, like, long-term financial freedom. That's how you have to start thinking about it. Before you think about quitting, these 3 things have to be in place, right? You have to have consistent business revenue. And that could look like at least making like 50% of your salary consistently for the next 3 to 6 months, right? And then also think about an emergency fund. Think about having like 6 months of living expenses that are saved up. This gives you breathing room, so you're not making desperate money moves. So 6 months, and some people it depends on where you are, right? Some people actually want 12 months saved up of living expenses. Think about where you feel comfortable with. And then I want you to have a growth plan. So have a clear roadmap of how to scale your income once you go full time. So once you go full time in your business, have a clear growth plan. What are the next steps? What am I going to do in the first 3 months? What am I going to do in the first quarter, the next quarter, first year? How am I going to grow? You have to think about that. And the truth is that if you don't have these things in place, you risk quitting. Like quitting your job becomes a risk, and you don't want that. But if you do these things, if you start thinking about like having consistent business revenue, having an emergency fund, having a clear growth plan, then you can leave a little bit more confidently, knowing that like you never look back because you already have the building blocks in place. I said it before, right? I'm all about taking a leap, but it has to make sense so that your chances of failing are slim. Like I'm all about gambling on myself. I'm all about you gambling on yourself, but you also have to take calculated risk so that you don't fail. And so most people ask like, when is the right time, right? And this is how you can test if you're actually ready. Ask yourself again, like, can you replace your job income in the next 6 to 12 months? So like if you were making, let's say you were making, I don't know, $200,000 a year. In the next 6 to 12 months, right? Can your business pay you that amount of money next 6 to 12 months? Like, and you don't have, like, the income doesn't have to be 100%. Do you have a clear path to getting that in the next 6 to 12 months, that job income that you left? I use $200,000 as an example. And it might be the right time, right? And then another thing is like, do you have the systems in place to keep money coming in? If your business only works like when you hustle 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, I don't think you're ready. You have to have repeatable systems for revenue to keep coming in. And the last thing, which I think is so important, is like, are you truly committed to running a full-time business? I told you in the beginning that like entrepreneurship is not easy. You will have high highs. Like you're like, I am on the same day. You can be like, man, I made change today. I did the thing. And at night you can be like, did I really do anything? Did I make a difference? Did I help one person? And so you have to be ready and fully committed to running that business. I think that like some people like the idea of quitting, and maybe you can put on social media, like I quit my 9 to 5 and get responses, but like, are you truly ready for the reality of being an entrepreneur? And so if you answered yes to all those 3 questions, right, you are in a strong position to make the leap. Like you're in a strong position to make a difference, and it has to start there. So are you thinking? I want you to be thinking, or even writing this down. And yes, the recording will be available. But make sure that like you're asking yourself these questions. Can I replace my job income in the next 6 to 12 months? Do I have systems in place to keep money coming in? That's also important. And then you have to think like, are you truly committed to running a full-time business, and not the idea of loving it, but actually really doing it? Okay, so we're wrapping up, and I want you to how do you know you're ready, right? How do you know it's time to like take the leap without feeling stressed? If you are ready, the next 3 months could look like month 1, right? You cut expenses and you boost your savings. So, and know that this isn't forever. But in order to, when you start lowering your expenses, right, you give yourself like financial breathing room so that like if month 1 doesn't go as well, like you have cushion. So think about starting to cut your expenses. And then the second month you've started the business, it's going well, you're really ready to jump, right? I want you to think about securing like 3 to 5 high paying clients. So your goal is to make your income predictable before you quit. It doesn't have to be 100% predictable, right? But make sure that you have certain things in place so that you know that revenue is coming in. And then month 3, think about like giving notice and like preparing for full-time business mode. So that could be what those first 3 months look like. And this is when like you transition with a game plan without fear, because that's very important. And I think that if you follow this, you'll quit your job like with confidence, with security, and with the momentum that you need to keep going. And this is also really important. I talk a lot about relationships because I have learned that in entrepreneurship, relationships are like the backbone of your business. And so there is quitting the wrong way. And I really don't want you to do that. You know, some people will storm out, they'll burn bridges, they'll, you know, put on social media something terrible, only to realize later that you need these connections. So don't burn them. Give the proper notice, right? I want you to show professionalism. You know, give, if your job needs 2 to 4 weeks notice, give it. If it needs 3 months notice, give it. I want you to be really professional, right? Like I said, don't trust your job or your employer on social media. Leave with strong relationships, because you never know who's going to refer you. You never know who's going to recommend you. And the lastly kind of ties to that is I want you to keep the connections open, right? Because your past colleagues could be your future clients. They could even be your partners or your investors. And those old, you know, like network can bring in new clients. So always be thinking about like how you can allow or let a relationship blossom, because you don't know where it's going to take you. Lead with respect, because like I said, like your old job might help you like in your new business and can further it instead of hurting it. So as we come to a close, right, I want us to kind of recap and think big picture. When you think about quitting your job successfully, right, you're building consistent income first. Please don't quit on hope. Don't quit on the idea that like things will work or they'll get better. I want you to quit with real financial proof. And then save at least, like I said, 6 if you feel comfortable, or 12 if you feel a little bit more risk averse, so that you're not panicking later, right? And then follow the 3-month exit strategy. What do those 3 months look like so that you can leave smoothly? Now, for those people, and I might be talking to 1 or 2 people, right? If you have a business idea, if you're already thinking about it, if you already have a plan, I want you to think about a quit date, right? This is my final challenge to you. Think about what is that date that you are like, okay, if I do all these things and if I build and if I'm at this stage, I think I'm ready to walk away. And this could look like 6 months to some people. It could look like a year or 2, but put a deadline, put it on your calendar. And I'll share a personal story with you. I was working a night shift. And we were all just talking. It was not a busy night shift, right? And some of the nurses asked me a question, and they didn't know kind of all my plans and all my ideas. And someone said something, and I challenged myself. I said this, you guys. I told them, I said, in this year and this date, I said, I'll probably not be in this ER anymore. And right there and then, right, I took my phone out. And I wasn't planning this. I took my phone out, and I just put a reminder for that date. And I just put that. And for me, that was my goal, right? I put it down. So I'm telling you something. I'm not telling you something that I didn't do. I'm telling you something that I've actually done. But when you give yourself that real goal, you stop making excuses and you start making plans. And that is you taking it to the next step. That's you taking it to the next level. Your dream life is waiting for you, right? It's yours to build. So get to work. Okay, so one thing I want to say is that, like, so yes, we're talking about building a business while you're doing your 9 to 5, right? But this was never just about making money or quitting your job, right? This is about taking control of your time, taking control of your choices and your future, and really how you're impacting the world. I think that's the message that I want to get across to you. And a lot of people spend years overthinking, they spend years waiting, and they're staying in situations that really don't serve them. But now I hope that I've given you a clear roadmap to kind of start, or like I have planted the right questions in your mind and in your brain to take it to the next level. My only question for you is, will you take action? You know, because knowing what to do isn't enough anymore, right? Doing that thing, that's what changes everything. And so I want you to hear that again, right? You have to take action. I've given you the framework and I've kind of given you the roadmap, but knowing what to do is not enough. Doing it, that's what takes it to the next level. That's what really changes everything. And that's what I want you to take away from here. In the next few days, in the next 24 hours in the next 7 days will determine whether you take action, whether you take this information and you use it, or you let it become someday, like a someday plan, right? I'll do this tomorrow. I'll do this next year. So I want to challenge you. Within the next 24 hours, take one step. And that one step could look like spending time and answering some of the questions I asked you. That 24 hours could look like messaging a potential client, or posting an offer, or setting your first goal. That's what the next 24 hours, but I empower you to do something, to like take one step in the right direction. I also want you to set a deadline, and I want you to set a launch deadline. For some people, it might be launch to start, but for some others, it might just be to stop planning and to start going. I want you to pick a date, and I want you to commit to it, and I want you to have grace and some freedom. That date might be 6 months from now. That date might be a year from now, but pick a date and write it down. And then my challenge is that you block out 10 hours this week, because without time, this thing won't happen. So pick out your 10 hours. On Sunday, maybe your challenge for Sunday is, so I use Sundays to plan my week. So pick out maybe like an hour and just look at what that next week could look like, and like actually put in your calendar where those 10 hours are going to be. So like, will it be the next Saturday morning that you do 3? Will it be Wednesday night? Will it be Monday morning? Pick your 10 hours and just see what, like, if you challenge yourself, if you test yourself, something amazing will come out of it. I want you to decide right now that you will stop waiting. You are ready, and your future is waiting for you. So this is what I want to end with. Every successful entrepreneur that you admire, right? They started exactly where you are right now. They started with balancing a job. They started with feeling uncertain and wondering like if they could do it. That's how they started. But the difference is that they took action. Even before they felt that they were ready, they said, you know what, today's the day that I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to share with the world what my plan is. That is the difference between you today, your today you, and a successful entrepreneur who has been where you are, is that they decided to take action. I have learned that no one is coming to push you. No one is coming to make this happen for you. You have to want it. You have to do it. But you already have everything that you need, right? You already have everything that you need to make this real. So now it's really on you. It's on you to do the thing. It's on you to start. And I just want you to hear me that this is your time. Let's make it happen together. Before we end, I've said that a few times, but I want to share something that I started. And it's a new community that I want to share with you. And it's called the Expansive Circle. The premise behind the community is to bring together professionals into a space where we can break free from limitations and to create a life where like you're fully alive, you're fulfilled, you're free, and you're living this big life that extends beyond just 9 to 5. It's about designing a life that is abundant in wealth, in time, and experiences, and we will learn it together, right? So think about it. We expand together, we achieve together, and we transform together. If that's something that like really excites you. So inside the community, right, you will have daily support, you'll have expert training, we'll have tons of like implementation tools, we'll have resources, there'll be high level networking. It's a place to connect. You can even find like accountability partners to take you to the next level, especially as you're starting. We'll have live sessions inside of it. Our next one is on Monday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, which is noon Eastern Standard Time. And it's just to like help you get your week going. So we do that every week. We have workshops. There's tons of like tracking and accountability platforms that we're going to start pushing out. We are going to be creating monthly masterminds just in like areas to help us grow as we start thinking about building wealth, as we start thinking about building a business, as we start, thinking about like growing. Those are all the things that you'll get inside of the community, and you will hear success stories that will really inspire you. So think about how you can transform success into freedom, purpose, impact. That is really the purpose of the community, the Expansive Circle. It's not just another like networking group. It's really a community, like I said, of like purpose-driven achievers who are committed to like redefining what success looks like. So if this is exciting, I think one of my team members will probably just put the link put the link up so that you can click on it. But this is not, it's not for everyone. And for a limited time, right, we are giving free access, free 1-year access to the first 50 members that jump in and that say yes to this offer. But you have nothing to lose. So why not just come and jump in and learn and see like what you can benefit from it. But like I said, we'll have a ton of like monthly implementation sessions. There's success, just success partner network that you're doing with other people. There's a resource library. So like every single talk, every single webinar, every single teaching I've done, they're actually courses that I'm creating. And the first one that I'm creating is on personal branding, but there are courses there to help you grow, to help you like take whatever you're doing to the next level. And I'm always in the community. So that's what I want you to think about. So if you are excited about joining, the code is founder. FOUNDER. Put that in and you'll get 1-year access. But come into the community. Let's like even figure out like how to start your business with you. So that's all I wanted to say. Toss questions in the chat if you have any questions. I'd love to answer them for you. And I'll like run through the chat real quickly just to make sure I didn't miss anything. But I want to say thank you. Thank you for spending this hour and 15 minutes with me. I really hope that it was impactful for you. But the biggest thing I want you to do is I want you to either ask yourself that question that will help you think about your business idea, if that's something that you want to do. And if not, then I want you to like, if you're at the place of already starting your business, then I want you to take it one step further, right? Set a launch date or do that next thing in the next 24 hours. Push yourself, because I think that's where you're going to go. And so, so that's that. So I want to say thank you. I just saw Alice say, is it only for people who want to start a business? Nope. So the community is really focused on growth and expansion. So what does a fulfilling life look like to you? Like, what are the things that you need to help you grow? Is it accountability? Is it even personal development and growth? So it's a way for us to come together and push ourselves to grow, to become the best versions of ourselves. So that's what it looks like. If you're someone who wants to start a business, then like that, we can help with that, but it definitely is not only for that. Okay, so I'll jump real quickly to the questions just to make sure. Time can be created, create time, Pandora, that's awesome. If you're looking for time, you have to cut down on distractions. I completely agree. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing any questions. Grace said, surrounding yourself with uplifting people is so critical. Completely agree. Kenny said, so about putting your phone on Do Not Disturb, this colleague of mine, he's got a job and we're growing a business together. In his bid to focus when his attention is needed, it's impossible to reach him. Talk about we're currently not in the same location. I understand he wants to focus, but how do you balance this so that you can be effective and yet be reachable? This is a great question. So, Kenny, I want to answer this question, right? Because I do the same thing. And I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, but I have learned something, right? Number one, I think is communication. So if there's a time, so when I do time blocks, right? And I have to get certain big tasks done, the tasks that will move our business forward, then I need like complete dedication during that time. So it's okay I will put my phone on Do Not Disturb, but I will communicate with everyone else, especially my team members or my partners. Hey, this is my time block time. You probably will not reach me during that time. And it's important because when you communicate, then I think that's really important, because then your partner will know, okay, this is a time, or you will know that this is a time that he or she is doing like real work. And this is not the time that you can't reach them. But I also, Alex Hormozy said something that I thought was really impactful. There's only like 1% of things that are true emergencies. And a lot of other things are not true emergencies, and they're only distractions. And so if you are in a time where like you are doing real work that's going to move your business forward, that's going to move you forward as a person, then you don't want distractions. So I'm on the side, Kenny, I'm on the side of like putting your phone on do not disturb, but also communicating that with your partner, communicating that with your team, that this is the time that I need to get work done to move our business forward. I don't want distractions, because every time you look down on your phone or you scroll, it takes you a significant amount of time to get back to where you were, that level of concentration. So when you're thinking about building something big or making a difference, like that one text is not worth it, or that one scroll is not worth it. So I think that, but the end goal, I think, is communication. I wanted to ask, when is the right time? There, you will know when the right time is. But I remember when I talked about the spectrum, right, of like people that wait too long and people that do it too soon and people that wait too long. You have to get to the point where the right time for you is when you have certain things in place, but then you need to push yourself to be uncomfortable to take a risk. I think that's the right time for you. So without knowing your exact situation, I can't tell you the right time, but I think it's a balance between having all the things ready and then, but not spending years trying to perfect it, and knowing that this is a time for me to put myself out there, to put out my product, to sell my thing, to start my business, to open the front door of my new business, and knowing that like you will fix as you go. Yukara said, is the recording available? Yes, it is. You will get it within the next 24 hours. It will be available. What is your take on work-life balance? Is it really possible? Okay. So I think the idea of work-life balance is, I don't want to say it's an illusion, right? Because I think it's in different stages of life. In the beginning phases of building your business, right, a work-life balance is, I don't think it exists. I think because you're starting something and you're pouring into it because you want it to grow. But I think that you have to continually ask yourself, like, what do I need to be the best version of myself? Like, how do I show up as the best person, right? And so in the beginning, like I said, it could look like more work and less balance, but you have to also know what you need to feed you, mind, body, soul, so that you show up to the best of your ability. Now, I was reading a book and it was talking about Oprah and Richard Branson, right? And Oprah works out twice a day and she does maybe like an hour or two of business. But yes, these people are billionaires, right? So, and now they have the perfect work-life balance, but they built to get there. You know, they didn't get there day one. Like in the beginning, they did the work, they put in the work, they laid the foundation. So I don't have a perfect answer for you, but I think that like the idea of having work-life balance all the time from beginning to end, I think it's an illusion and I don't think it's really real. But I think that there's seasons where you work really hard and then there's seasons that like you have built and now you're reaping the reward and you're reaping the fruit of your labor. I think that's what it looks like. So Alice, I already answered your question. Thank you. You're very welcome. Yes. Okay. So how often do you do these webinars? So I said in the beginning, these webinars are, we're going to be doing it every other week, so bi-weekly, and it's just like on topics that will help with growth, so the topics will be entrepreneurial growth and personal development. It will be some business focused. It will be on wealth. It'll be on, like financial freedom. It's on topics that are helping us to live our best lives. So like I said before, if you have ideas, or if there's something that you think will be worth bringing and sharing with the group, I would love that. Please tell me and I'm all over it. And you built to go there. I can work with that. Okay, awesome. So I think I went through all the questions. My phone was not on do not disturb. I was hoping I would silence it before. But if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts or ideas, please put it down. But I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who stayed till the end, and thank you. I hope that this was very impactful. Like I said, join the community. That's where we're growing. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. This recording will be available in the next 24 hours. Okay, everyone, have a wonderful day. I hope I answered every question. I think I went through it and answered every question. So yes. Okay. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. Though I came late, this is very impactful. You're very welcome. And you'll get the whole recording within, like I said, within the next 24 hours, it'll be available and you'll be able to get all of that. So please reach out if you have any questions. Okay, wonderful, everyone. Have a great evening.